We were discussing this point. Yes. So our database file is what? ntds.dit. Where ntds.dit stands for what? New technology directory service. After that, what it is? Directory information tree. Is it clear to everyone now? Now, the setup is like this. Everything is going smoothly. So the people who are not able to hear, again, I'll try this. Our complete setup was like this. We are working in a domain. Domain is represented with the help of what? Triangle. In this machine, the main machine is what? DC. This is my system one, which I made as a DC. So this DC I configured by using a service called ADDS with the DNS. Now here I created Active Directory objects like users, group, computer, resources, services. Now this machine is connected to switch, and we have a number of machines. So already we discussed all these machine can be categorized into two types. What are they? Depending upon the OS. This is Windows 7 client OS. Let's suppose this is my second machine, this is my third machine. This is Windows 10 and this is with the Windows 2012. So these machines will work like a client and this machine will work like a member server. Yes, up to this we are clear, no? Once we join this machine into the domain, then only it will become client and member server. If I don't join, these three machines are called what? Can anybody tell me? I'm checking chat. Before joining, these three machines are called as what? Because we discussed this in previous session. Very nice. Work group. It is called what? Work group, not local client. Simply the name is what? Work group. The person who is not able to hear, maybe the problem from your side, internet. You'll be getting the video recording because for one or two people now I cannot again wait. Can I continue for the rest of the people? Because already it is too much delayed. Please tell me, can I proceed? Yes, because maximum people are able to hear me. Don't start your video. It will consume a lot of bandwidth. Use the audio only. Here many participants are there, like about 25. Out of that, many people are getting the audio signal. This red indicate mic. You are getting. Only few people are not getting. One. Only one person is not getting. So you please check your connectivity, internet connectivity, and try to relog. Can I continue for rest of the people? And it is my humble request because our schedule will get changed. I think most of you are staying indoor now. So shall we continue the session, complete session? Even though we started late because of the connectivity problem with the audio. Okay. So thank you everybody. So let me continue because this is very important session and I don't want to rush up and try to cover in allotted time. We'll take our own time because this is very important topic. Okay. Now up to this everyone is clear. So now the users will be created here in the domain. Let's suppose the users are U1, U2, something like this. So these users can log in from the any machine. From member server also we can log in. We have seen that. So it is the setup is like this. Whenever a users log in, any authentication takes place, security is there. Yes, that is through the Kerberos. Now a user which is trying to log in from a U4, can it be allowed? Account is not created. Can you log in? No, because it will be checked through the Kerberos protocol. And what things are being written by the users or whatever data is being maintained by the admin, everybody. So this complete setup data will be maintained in the Active Directory database file. So what is the Active Directory database file? The complete network information or our domain information will be stored in a file called ntds dot dit. So once again I repeat, what is the abbreviation of this? New. N stands for new. T stands for what? Technology. D stands for what? Directory information. Sorry, new technology directory. This is S. S stands for what? Service. Dot DIT. DIT stands for what? Directory information. This is the abbreviation for ntds.dit. I repeat once again. The database file is called as what? New technology directory service dot directory information tree. So this file, where it will be located? In the C drive, under the C drive Windows folder. This Windows folder contain what? Another folder, ntds. Inside that folder you will find what? This file, ntds.dit. So it is clear now to everyone up to this. So the setup is going like this. Administrator, everything is going properly. But as administrator, can you give guarantee to the company or the organization where you are working? Till you are administrator, your DC will never get any problem. Whether it might be hardware issue, software, any issue. Can anybody give the guarantee like this? It's a hardware device. Anytime any problem may occur. So imagine one fine day, everything is working fine, but your DC got some problem and it is got failed. It is not working. Now what happens in your network? Tell me. I'm having no problem in other machine. Only my DC is down. Then what happens? So please try to imagine you are an administrator. You are facing this situation. So now what will happen in the network? Please don't unmute your mic. Just write it in the chat. Whatever your opinion, you just write it. So what will happen first? Tell me. If my DC is down, what will happen? I repeat once again. My setup is like this. Everything is working fine. Users will be created in the DC and they are logging from other machine. Either it might be client or member server. Yes, they are doing their work. Fine day, my DC got down due to any reason. Now you are admin. Now what problem will occur in the network? You tell me. The entire network will be down. Nobody can able to work because now in this setup, what is the drawback now? What is the problem with this setup? Our domain I created with what name? Zoom.com. So I told you, domain means what? Domain means what? Yes, the entire network will be down. So domain means we discussed already. Domain means what? It's administrative logical boundary which contain what? Collections of computer which works under a common name, common policy. So if suppose this DC gets down, the other machine are fine, but still can the users able to work? No, your entire network will be down. Yes, the nobody can work. So can you work like this in the real time environment? Yes. So now my client machine or member server is fine, but the problem in DC. So can they able to work? No. So now, if the problem is like this, what is the solution? Now today you face this problem, so you want this problem should not occur in the future. So what you'll do now as administrator? You'll take the backup of ntds.dat. Then every user can log in with that backup file. Oh, we need to maintain very nice. One person has written. We need to maintain backup server, alternate server. Yes, cannot rely on one machine. So how that is what we are going to discuss in today's session. How to maintain the backup of the DC. So this is what very important session we are going to discuss today. Our topic is what? How to maintain the backup of the DC. So here the backup of the DC is given one technical name which is called ADC. What it is called? ADC. So ADC stands for what now? ADC stands for what? Yes, alternate the DC domain controller somebody has written. So that is not the answer. Now another person has written. Very nice. That is the answer. What is the answer? I'll write for everybody. So to overcome this problem, we need to maintain in our network one more server we have to keep. That server is called as the backup of the DC. So we need to maintain the backup of the DC. So that backup of this DC can be configured in client machine or member server. Tell me where I can configure the backup of this. My network is this much. Yes, in the member server, not in the client. So I cannot configure backup server in the client. I can configure in member server. This is what I was telling you in the session called client and member server. Now, did you remember? I said in the member server, we can configure some servers or some services, which you cannot do in client. Yes. So now I'll make this my member server as what? Backup server for DC, which is called technically now ADC. So ADC stands for what? It's called not alternate, it is called additional domain controller. What is the abbreviation for ADC? Additional domain controller. So what is our today's session? How to make the backup of the DC, which is called as what? Additional domain controller. So in which I will make this additional domain controller, in the client or in the member server or in both? My question is like this. I can configure my domain controller in client machine or in member server or in both. What will be the option? Tell me the correct answer. Yes, I got the answer. So it means most of the people understood. So I can do configuration of ADC in only in member server, not in the client machine. Are you clear with this concept, everybody? Or shall I repeat? See, we don't have much work. We have to within our home, no? So if I take some additional time, there is no problem, no? Everybody? Because this is very, very important. I'm going slowly, even though we lost some time because of the internet issue and audio issue. Yes. So what we want me to repeat? Somebody says repeat. So I repeat once again. With this setup, we cannot rely because if DC get down, the complete network will be down. So to prevent this type of issue, we need to maintain in our network compulsory one backup server for DC. So the backup server for DC is called ADC. See, I got one message in my chat that I'm not getting your voice. So it is for everybody or for one person? Nobody is able to hear my voice. Please write it in the chat. Are you able to hear my voice or not? So it means the issue is from your side, but I don't want to again restart my thing because it might be clear from my side. Person who is not able to hear, I can only suggest relog in. Please don't unmute your mic, please. Give me a second, I'm writing. Because from my side, there is no problem because others can able to hear. So shall we proceed? Now, today our session is about how I can configure the additional domain control. So practically, I'll show you, but please remember the concept that additional domain controller can be configured on member server, not on the client. Is it okay now? So today our session is about the structure of the Active Directory. So this is which class for the Active Directory? How many classes over for Active Directory? Yes, very nice. First class is over. That is, in the first class we discussed how to configure the DC. Today is our second class. So today we are focusing on how to configure the ADC. That is just a part of today's session. But our today's session topic name is what? Structure of the Active Directory. It's very, very important session. So that's why I'm going very slowly. Active Directory structure. So in that one part is what? ADC. The other things also we have to discuss. We'll discuss it. So this is a second class, remember. So our first task is what? Configure the additional domain controller. Why? Because if you have only one DC and number of client and member server, they can work properly. There is no issue. But nobody can give guarantee that the DC will not get the down. It is also hardware machines. So suppose imagine one fine day the DC get down means your entire network will be down because of one machine. So to avoid this, compulsory as an administrator, you need to maintain the backup server for DC. So the backup server for DC is called as what? ADC. So now this is the term we are using for uh, the operating system from the 2003. So just give me a second for your information. I'll write it. Now let's suppose here. So before 2000, before 2000, the ADDS service used to be called as what? Or the server operating system used to be called as what? NT. Already we discussed. And the DC is to be referred. This is configured by using which service? ADDS. So at that time, that service used to be called as what? ADS. So this is the server operating system, and this is the DC name. So this used to be configured with what name? What service? ADS, Active Directory Domain Service. So this is the operating system name NT before 2000, and this is the with the help of what? A service called ADS. Same like today, what we are calling that service today ADDS. Previously it used to be called ADS. And now we are calling the machine in which ADDS is installed, that machine we are calling as what? DC. But previously that machine used to be called as what? PC. Sorry, not PC, PDC. So PDC stands for what? Primary Domain Controller. So to give you the more information, I can write here somewhere. So now, after 2000, now the operating system is given with the name what? The year in which they have released, like Windows 2003, then 8, then 12, 16. This is our operating system. And now the service is installed as what? ADDS. And the server is now called as what? DC. So previously it used to be called PDC. And the backup of this PDC used to be called as what? PDC. Primary Domain Controller, Backup Domain Controller. But now the DC is called, sorry, the service in which ADDS is installed, that server is called as what now? DC. And the backup of this is called ADC. Previously it was PDC. And the backup is to be called BDC. But now the DC domain controller backup is called ADC. And one more important difference, the PDC backup will be used to be BDC. And this used to be one way, means only write. Here it used to have only read option. Here read write. So you can only observe from here. You cannot do any modification from backup server, which is to be called as what? Backup primary domain controller. But from 2008 onwards, so DC backup is what? ADC. But it is two-way. Two-way means what? It will have read write permission. It also will have read write. So means modification you can do from ADC also if DC is done. If you are maintaining the backup of DC to ADC, if your DC is done, you can able to make the changes from ADC, which you cannot able to do earlier to the BDC. So this is the improvement we have in the domain model. So remember, ADC used to call previously BDC. Uh, Sorry, it is BDC, not B. Sorry, it is the backup of the BDC is what? BDC, backup domain control. Clear? Is it okay to everybody? Or shall I write once again? I'll put that slide, don't worry. This is the information which you don't have in the slide. That's why I wanted to write it. Shall I write it neatly once again in next page, or it is okay for your understanding purpose? have that information. That's why I told. I repeat. So repeat once again. Like before 2000, the operating system, server operating system, used to be referred with the name called NT. And this domain controller used to be called with what name? They used to install for domain controller a service called ADS. And the machine used to be called as what? PDC, primary domain controller. But after the 2003 onwards, the server operating system is referred like this: Windows 2003, Windows 2008, Windows 2012, Windows 2016. These are the operating system. Then they are calling the domain controller. They are calling the domain controller with what name now? DC. And the backup of DC they are calling as what? ADC. So previously, the PDC backup used to be what? PDC, primary domain controller, backup domain controller. And it used to be one way, means only PDC used to have read write, and BDC used to have only read option, means we can only observe, we cannot do any changes. If PDC is done, we can work with BDC, but we cannot do any new thing. But now we have what? DC and ADC in what two way, means this will have what? Read write option, this will also have read write. So if DC is done, we can work with what? ADC, and also we can make modification from the ADC, which we cannot able to do in the old model BDC. Is it okay now, everybody? Is it okay now? Thank you for your response. Now let us go for first. Our main focus is what? How to configure the additional domain controller. So let me go to that. Additional domain controller. So if you have already one domain controller, you need to compulsory maintain what? Additional domain controller, so that to improve the availability and reliability of network services. Because before we came to the additional domain controller, I told you, if you keep only DC and you work like that, if suppose any problem comes on the DC machine, our entire network will be down because of one machine. So in real time, you need to maintain backup for the DC. We are going to maintain form of what? ADC. So that when DC get any problem also, network will not be disturbed. Everything will work as usual. Fine. Additional domain control provide what? Fault tolerance. Tolerance means if our DC is all down, still our network will be fine. Everything can go as usual. And another important thing is what? The load balancing can be done. So if there are suppose many users at a time, they are accessing the DC, so the DC may get slower. To avoid that, we can put the setup in a such a way that some traffic will go to the DC and some traffic will go to the ADC. So that is what called load balancing. And it also provides what? Additional support for sites. What is sites? We are going to discuss later. So you just remember site means what? A location, place where your servers are being kept. So this is the use of the DC. So here the the replication between DC and ADC takes place what? Two-way, means both will have read write. But in the previous case, in the older technology, in the PDC and BDC, it used to be one way, means only primary domain controller used to have read write option, and the backup server, that is BDC, only used to have read option. So if you have to do some modification from BDC, you cannot do. But now you can do it through the ADC. So did you understood about the ADC now? Clear? How to do it? We'll see practically. Those who want to take a snapshot, please take it, and we'll proceed with the next point. It's done. So this is about the ADC. Now we'll discuss today's session. I said you what? Structure of the Active Directory. So let us discuss that. Today our topic is uh, structure of the Active Directory. In that, one of the part is what? ADC. Today's session is not completely about only ADC. Lots of things are there. So let us discuss that. So today our session is about what? Our today's session name is what? Second class of the Active Directory. In that we are going to discuss about structure of Active Directory. So what is our today's session? Structure of Active Directory. This is which class for us as per the Active Directory? This is our second class of Active Directory. The most important topic in our course is Active Directory. Total we have 5 sessions. First session is already completed of the Active Directory. In that we discussed what is ADDS, what is DC, what is domain. Yes, that knowledge still you remember or not, we'll check here in today's session, including myself. Okay. So now the structure of Active Directory is divided into two parts. How many parts? Two parts. It's called physical structure and logical structure. Now, please tell me, similar to this thing, we discuss in which topic? Physical and logical, two type. Please write it in the chat. I'll check how many of you remember, or anybody remember or not. Yeah, very nice. I got the answer. Very impressed. Because way back we have discussed. I thought nobody will able to recollect, but I got the answer. Yes, we. topology means physical topology means what? The structure in which how our devices are connected, which we can able to see. Yes, that is called physical topology. Like I told you, star, mesh, ring, bus, in which we are using star. Then physical topology means how the data your will be flowing, or the mechanism in which the data will be organized or flowing. So that is we have understood with the help of what logical structure. So in the data movement or flow of data depends on the model. So in the logical topology, we discuss two types of model. What are they? Can I have the answer? Logical topology, data flow depends on the model. So we discuss there two types of model. Entire our course is on that only. Still no answers? Yes. Very good. Very good. So I got mixed up with my answer. So I said very group. No, sorry. So it's what very good I mean to say. So I got the answer. That answer is what? Work group model and domain model. Work group model means what? All machines are independent. So once we install any OS, server or client, by default they'll exist like a work group model. So in that, disadvantage is what? Whatever I need to do same thing in all machines because they are independent with. So to overcome this problem, we have domain model. So the domain model means what? Everything is centralized. So we have to do from one machine. The domain model have server and client, whereas the workgroup model don't have any server and client. The domain model will make one machine as a server, and we will try to control everything from that machine. How it is possible? For that, we need to make our networks centralized. So to make our network centralized, we install one service. Which service? ADDS. So then our model has changed from the workgroup model to what? Domain. Domain model. So I said ADDS is what? It is a service which makes our network centralized. Or also I told you on that day number of time ADDS is a service which stores the information about the what? Our Active Directory objects like users, group, computer. Yes, very nice. So that will be stored in the ADDS service. So ADDS is actually what? It's a service, database service, which maintain the information about the Active Directory objects like users, computer, groups. Yes. But if I want to control my entire network, then I need to make my machine in which this ADDS service is installed as domain controller. So I said repeatedly on that day, DC means it is a server. ADDS is a service. This is a what? A server on which ADDS service has been installed or is running. So, yes, domain controller need to be configured by administrator. So that domain controller is configured using the domain name. So there comes the DNS. Yes. So once we make our machine as a domain controller, so that machine will become like a server. So server in which ADDS service is running, that machine is called as domain controller. How to make that? I told you. So once you make that machine as a domain controller means two things will get created. One, database file will be created, ntds.dat, and at the same time Kerberos protocol will be activated so that the authentication will be done through the Kerberos protocol for the domain users, and database file will be created. So when we make this domain controller, DNS service will get installed along with the, so where this DNS will be there, where we are making this domain controller. Yes, without that we cannot able to make it. So that's why DNS is an integrated part of the ADDS. Up to this you understood now? Okay, fine. So now we'll continue with that now. So today we are discussing the structure of the Active Directory, which is divided into two types: physical structure and logical. So same kind of definition will continue. Physical structure means which we can see. Now tell me the example of the physical structure. If you don't know answer, just guess it. Any answers? Physical structure. So that is the topology is different, structure is different. Shall I tell you? I got one answer, domain controller. Yes, that is the answer. Example, machine. Can we see the machine? Yes. The machine in which the ADDS service is installed, that machine is called DC. So the example for physical structure is what? DC. And also a site. Site means what? A place where this machine is being kept. So DC we can see. The place where these machines are kept. That also we can see. So this is called as what? Physical structure. Sorry, I didn't see that answer, domain controller. That is the correct answer. Star topology I have seen. That is not the correct answer. So now, got the answer, everyone? Understood what you mean by physical structure, which we can see? The example for that is what? Domain controller. So domain controller is what? It's a server in which ADDS is running. So can you see that machine or not? Yes. And where it is being kept? That place is called site. So both of these things we can see. No, that's why it is comes under physical structure. Now let us come to the logical structure. So the definition for this is what? Opposite, which we cannot see, which we cannot see. Now you tell me what will be the example for this. I got some answer, services. The answer is what? Very, very important. The answer for logical structure is what? Domain, tree, forest. Uh, like in the topology, which one was important to us? Physical and logical, both. But we give more importance to logical topology because as an administrator, we need to understand the flow of the data. That depends on the model. So same way, today we discuss structure, physical and logical. Which one will be more important for us? Physical or logical? Yes, logical. So today we are going to focus our entire session on these three terms: domain, tree, forest. So first, let me start with what? Domain. First, we will start with what? Domain. So domain means what? Domain means what? Already we discussed. Say what? Logical or physical? Logical. Yes, I got the answers. Now, so how do you define a domain? So domain is a what? Logical administrative boundary which contain all our devices, which works under a common name with common policy. So that is your domain. Let me come to your point. Somebody asked, what about ADC? So now to clarify doubt, let me draw the diagram. This is my domain. So this domain I created with what name? zoom.com. In this, my most important machine is what? DC. So that I configured by installing a service called ADDS with DNS. Then this machine is connected to switch, and then we have number of client and members. But with this setup, what is the problem? This is done, entire network is done. So to avoid that, you need to maintain what? This machine will be made as what? ADC. So the DC with the client, with the member server, along with your ADC. This all things comes under what? Domain. So now it is clear with your doubt now? So a domain means what? A domain will be never there without a domain controller. And in the real-time environment, when DC is there, compulsory you need to maintain one ADC. Now the question is, important question. How many DCs we can have for one domain? Let me see your answers. I repeat my question. How many domain controller we can have for one domain? Oh, somebody written one. Let me see others. What are their opinion? Getting one like that. Yes, that is the correct answer. Now somebody says multiple domain. Now my question is, I'll repeat once again. How many domain controller you can have for a one domain, or for suppose my domain is what? Zoom.com. For this domain Zoom.com, how many domain controller I can have? Maximum how many domain controller I can have? I'm getting the answers as one. Yes, that is the correct answer. Not many. Only for one domain you can have only one domain controller. Please remember. Might be asked in the interviews. Then coming to the ADC. How many additional domain controller we can have for a domain, for a single domain? For one domain, how many ADCs you can have? Single or multiple? Yes, that is the correct answer. We can maintain multiple ADCs. Here people are saying unlimited, but the correct answer is what? As far I know, is I read somewhere they have given the limit of ADC something up to. I'll write it here. So we can maintain multiple ADCs, but only one DC. Remember. So I read somewhere, I didn't remember somewhere. Maximum you can maintain ADC is how many? 1199. That many we won't maintain, but this is the maximum limit they have given. Some document I have seen. And how many domain controller you can have? For one domain, how many domain controller you can have? Only one, remember. Only one. You can have multiple ADCs, but only one DC. So this complete structure is called domain. Now, next thing we have to discuss today is what? So now have you understood what is meant by domain? So domain include what? Domain controller, ADC along with your client. So this complete setup is called as what? Domain. Now let us try to understand tree. To understand what? Now tree. So let me go to the new page now to discuss tree. Now let's say suppose this is your domain. This is the company who started initially with this domain. In this, you are maintaining what? DC. The network is created with the help of switch. Then you have number of clients along with member server. So this member server I made as a what? ADC. So this is your domain. What is your domain name? zoom.com. So now we are trying to discuss what is meant by tree. Now suppose your business has expanded so much that you need to expand your. So how do you expand the domain? With the help of a tree. So now assume this is the office you have opened in Hyderabad, but you are getting good business. So and you thought there is a market for you to be tapped in some other city. So suppose you started one more your branch. Let's say suppose in Bangalore. Now there also you need to create the setup now. So then you made a setup there. You created there your own domain. So maybe the setup you maintaining there based on their requirement, you created there one more domain. So if you business are expanded so much that now suppose you need to maintain. Uh, let's suppose forget about the place. Suppose our business is started with this. Now suppose with Zoom name. In this we are started with what? So suppose the course MCs. Now we are getting many clients or many students based on that. So we need to maintain suppose one separate domain for that. So I'll create one child domain. It is called what? My first domain is called what? The first domain is called is what? Parent. So I need to create to manage this course. I need to create. Suppose I'm getting lots of business. So I need to create one child domain. So I created one child domain with a name like this, MCSC, which is a part of Zoom only. So mcsc.zoom.com. So I created one domain. This is my domain. Again, here I need to meet. This is another domain. So I need to have compulsory one DC. There cannot be a domain without domain code. Then I have a switch here, and here I have client as well as member server. This is my what? ADC. So this is what called my. This is my parent domain. So this is called what? My child domain. What it is called? Child domain. Now after some days, I felt that there is huge demand again for this. So I need to maintain one more domain. So I'm creating one more child domain. So that name may be now mcitp dot mcsc dot home dot com. Now this is also will be what my parent or child. One parent and rest of them are what? Child. So here also I need to create what? DC. Then here also I will be having switch. This will be connected to my client. Here we will also maintain what? ADC. So this is my child. So when your network is become too large and it is not easy to maintain with one domain, then for easy administration we need to create what? The subdomain, which is called child domain. So your main first domain is called here what? Parent. To manage or to decentralize it, we need to create what? Subdomain, which is called child domain. So it might be in same place, it might be in different places, depends on the size of your network and your business. So now I created one child domain with a name called MCSC, but with the name I'm following here what? My parent domain name. So this is called what? Child domain. So this will be a child for this. So who is the parent for mcsc.com? Zoom.com. Now another child is being created with what name now? MCITP. So this is the child again. But for this child, who is the parent? This one, the above one. So if suppose somebody says my domains are like this, now who is the parent above? Suppose this is zoom.com. This is mcsc.zoom.com. This is suppose mcitp dot MCSE dot zoom.com. Then who is the parent for whom? You have to see the name after the name, parent. Now for whom? Who is the parent? MCS. Now, did you understood? You have to see the name, whose name it is having after its name. So that will be the parent. So now for MCITP, who is the parent? MCS. This is the parent. This is the grandparent. So this is called, now how many domains you have? So please remember, when we talk about domain means it includes DC as well as ADC. So this is your one domain. This is another domain. This is your another domain. So now what you will call this? You have a single domain or multiple domain? Multiple. So this multiple domain together is called as what? Tree. So what is the definition of tree? Collection of domains is called as what? Tree. So did you understood now? What is a tree? Collection of domain. So where your first domain is the parent and the other domains are called child domain. So this is the tree which is created with what? Contiguous name. So here contiguous name is there. So what is the contiguous name now? So in every domain, which name is repeated? That is called contiguous. So name, after the name, what is the name? That is the parent. So this together, this complete, all this domain, multiple domain together is called a tree. So this is a tree with contiguous name. Means the domain name is followed for all the domain. Whose domain name is followed? Parent domain name. So generally, like especially I heard in South India, this tradition is there, especially in Kerala or Tamil Nadu somewhere. If somebody full name is to be there, means their name will be there. First their name, middle their father name, at the last the family name. Like in here, especially in Hyderabad, if somebody asks our full name, we'll generally tell our name with our family name. In some places, now complete name means what? Your name, middle will be father name, then last will be your family. That they will say their complete name. So did you understood this concept? What is tree now? Did you understood? Collection of multiple domains is called as what? Tree. So this is a tree with a contiguous name. So the parent domain name is following everywhere in all the child. So this is called a tree with contiguous name. So shall I hope that you understood, or shall I repeat? Response. What shall I understand by that? Shall I repeat, or you understood? Okay. So a domain means what? Which consists of what? All your devices, which works under a common name with common policy. That is called domain. So here DC along with your all client with the ADC is called as what? Your one domain. So if your business has expanded so much, it is not easy to manage with one domain, means you need to create a subdomain. So that subdomain you need to, if you are creating by following the name of the parent, then you need to create the child domain. So I created one child domain. It might be in same place or other place. That depends on your business, where your clients are. So now I created one child domain with what name? MCC. That name can be anything. For simplicity, I have taken that name. It can be ABC dot, but after that, the domain name of the parent is coming. So that is called the child domain. So who is the parent for MCSE? Zoom.com. So after some days, again I felt there is a need to create one more subdomain. So I created one more subdomain. That name can be anything. MCITP I took. This domain is a part of whom, or who is the parent for whom? MCSE. So MCITP.MCSE.zoom.com. Zoom.com is the parent. So now this third domain is a, you can say, grandchild of the Now for MCITP, who is the parent? MCSE. For MCSE, who is the parent? Zoom. So the complete domain. Here you have one domain or multiple domain? Multiple domain. So this collection of multiple domains is called as a tree. So here tree is been created with contiguous name or without contiguous name. In every domain name you can find same name. Which name? The parent domain name is repeated. So that is called a tree with contiguous name. You can have a number of like this. But I heard there is some limit like this name, the contiguous name. It should be about not sure, but I said somebody because we cannot remember continuously. So there is a limit for this name character. It supports up to I heard 128 bit. Officially, I don't know. I heard it with contiguous. So did you understood this? So now my question is, if I write something, it will get very congested. So I'll take again. I'll draw it. I think you got some idea now. I'll just repeat it. So this is my main domain. So this domain I created with what name? Home.com. Is compulsory. I need to have. There is no domain without DC. So this will be connected to which then I can have number of client and member server. But on the member server, I'm keeping what? ADC. Okay. These are my clients. Now the domain user will be created here. Suppose the user one is created here. Like this, you have number of users. So suppose 100 users. Now your business has expanded so much. Now you felt that there is a need to create another domain. So I created one more domain with what name? That name cannot be same. So I need to have child domain. So I created one child. That name can be anything. ABC, XYZ, anything. So I used here for simplicity what? MCSE dot zoom dot. Now here also this is a domain means without DC we cannot have a domain. Now this is my switch. Here also I have clients and member server. So this member server again I'll make a backup. So this is one domain. This is another domain. So this is the first domain is called parent. This is your child domain. So like this, you can have number of domains. So one more domain is there. Here also, this will also have DC and the switch. Then we'll have clients and members. Here again ADC. This is my domain with what name? MCITP dot MCSC dot zoom dot. So the first one is called parent, the other is called child. Now for MCSC domain, who is the parent? Zoom.com. For MCITP, who is the parent? After its name, what is the next name? That is the parent. Here, for MCITP, the parent is MCSC. For MCSC, the parent is this. So we have multiple domains. So this together is called one tree. So this is a tree with a contiguous name. So it is a tree with a contiguous name. Now my question is, here one user is created, suppose like this, 100 users here, U1 to U100, here 100 user, M1 to M100, here 100 users, C1 to example. Now my question is, can the U1 login from here? I'll take for simplicity one user. Can the U1 login from the this machine, the first domain? Yes. Now can the M1 login from here? Yes. Can the C1 log in from here? Yes. But my question is, can the U1 log in from here, from the third domain? Now tell me yes or no. Yes or no? No? Yes, it can be done. So suppose how I'll explain you in a non-technical example. So this is example one family. So this is your grandparent. This is your parent. This is you. Means if you all got married, suppose this is your family. Now somebody from your grandparent came here. They can come to your home or not. They need to take the permission. They need permission to come to their own house. Now somebody is written permission. They need permission. Now imagine you are going to this your grandparent. Now, will you ask him whether shall I come or not? Will you ask? No. So now this user C1 can log in from here. Yes or no? Yes. But can you go to anybody house? If you see some old person, can you go to this or you are my grandfather or like that? Can't do. So there should be some rules, some criteria. So here you remember important point. When it is a tree with contiguous name, any user can log in from any domain because they are part of a family called domain. So any user can log in from any domain within the tree, but that no permission is needed. But only one thing you need to take care, because the domain don't understand whether you are their relative or not. So for that, what you have to do, if you are logging in same domain, C1 is created here. So C1 can log in from here directly. But U1 is trying to log in here. U1 is trying to log in here. So at that time, what you have to do, you have to write in which domain you have created. So U1 is created in which domain? u1.zoom.com. Now here it will go to this machine. So it will see that I don't have the information of this, but it will see it is a part of this domain. So this is a child. It doesn't understand. So it first see in its database whether this user is there or not through the Kerberos. It is not there. So it will not reject directly because the name is here, which is matching here. So what it will do, if it doesn't have any information, like suppose I don't know anything, to whom I'll consult first? If I don't know in life something, so whom I'll consult first? Let me see your answer so that I can understand whom you will trust more. No answers? Yes, that is the answer. That is the fact. So we'll consult first our parent. So same way, what this DC will do, it doesn't have the entry of the U1. So it will send it information to its parent. Who is the parent? MCSE. So it will send it to MCSE. Now MCSE will check. It will check in its domain. U1 is there or not? It's not there. But what was the name here? MCSE.zoom. So he doesn't know it's. So what it will do, it will send this request to its parent. So its parent is what? So it says in its my database this name is there. So now it says allow. It is there of our domain. So it will be allowed. So you remember a user which is created in which domain. At that time, no need to give the domain name. But if a user is created in one domain but is trying to log in from other domain, now like C1 log in here. So at that time, you should not write only C1. You have to write C1 at the rate where it is created, which domain, that domain you have to write mcitp dot mcsc dot zoom.com. Then it will allow to log in. What I'm trying to say, you understood? Now suppose M1 is trying to log in this domain, second domain. It can log in directly because it belongs to the same domain. But now from here, C1 is trying to log in. So how to log in? C1, where it is created, there. We have to write. So it is created where? At the rate mcitp dot mcsc dot zoom.com. Then it will send it to its parent. It will not find its data bit, so it will send to the parent. From, so from the parent, it will check that entry is there or not. You understood now the concept? So please remember, in a tree, which is in the form of contiguous name, any user can log in from any domain because they are a part of same family. Understood now? But if a user is created one domain and is trying to log in from other domain, how it will be login? At the rate. After the name, don't forget at the rate where it was created, in which domain it was created. That you have to write. Then it will be allowed to log in without doing anything. Shall I hope that you understood? Okay, fine. Now, how many things we have discussed in today's session? Domain is completed, tree is completed. Now, what we have to discuss? I said, whenever you try to log in a tree from one domain to another, it will be login without any configuration or without doing anything. But for that, we have to you have to remember one point. What is that? If you are trying to log in from same domain where your account is created, no need to give the domain name. Just give the username. Like here in the first case, U1 is created in zoom.com. So I can log in from the zoom.com by giving just U1 name. But now U1 is trying to log in a third domain. It was created in the first domain, but now it's trying to log in. So at that time, what you have to do? U1 at the rate, because U1 is not created in this. It was created here. So when you are created, when you the user is created somewhere, but is trying to log in from other domain. So at that time, you have to write the username at the rate in which domain this user account was created. The domain name you have to write. Then it will be allowed to log in. Same way. Now C1 is created here in mcitp.mcsc.zoom.com. Now it's trying to log in from mcsc.zoom.com. So how I logged in? You see here. C1. But if M1 is trying to log in, no need to give the domain name because it's created there only. Do you understood now? Everybody? Yes. The same concept apply to a tree if this is in different location. It is there. But for that, connectivity should be there with the help of internet. If it is in the other place, so connectivity should be taken. So you should have internet in your main branch and also in the other branch. Yes. So shall I hope that you understood this important point? So now we discussed in logical topology, logical structure, three things are there: domain, tree, forest. So how many things we have completed? How many things we have completed till now? Answers, why? Two things have completed out of three. Yes. Domain is completed, tree is over. Now what is left out? Forest. Yes. So we have to discuss now forest. So once again, I request everybody. I can see the time is over, but I think most of us are inside our home. So can I continue with the session with same speed? I don't want to rush up, but at the same time, I can understand you may have some time constraint because the session is for 2 hours. But please give me some time today because some connectivity audio problem happened initially to the session. So that's why we are not able to complete in time. But I feel that we don't have to go anywhere because of the restriction. So can we utilize this time to understand in our session in a easy and in a smooth way and going slowly? See, if we do it tomorrow, then our schedule will get disturbed because we have day wise schedule, no? If anybody is having any urgent or important work, you can have the option that you may get this same video tomorrow, you can go through it. But everybody want to close me the session, then I need to close. But if maximum people feel continue with the session, I'll continue. If the session is within our time means I have the authority to say if nobody is there also I'll continue. But now our time is over, so it depends on you. If you majority of you feel to continue, I'll continue. If majority feel that no, you stop the session means I'll stop it. So I think majority is saying continue. So those who have some urgent work, those who wanted also to continue the session but cannot continue, please you can log out and you can attend to your important work. You can see the same session with your recording. Still, if you have doubt, tomorrow you can ask me after the session. So shall I continue? Shall I continue? Yes. Thank you, everyone. So now we have to discuss the last point. What is that? Forest. Uh, I think you again will need to have the login ID, password, everything will be different again. Our staff might be there, but they might be from their home. It might be difficult to join afternoon class. Because for that, the URL will be different, password will be different. So I'm continuing with this. Now we need to understand the last thing. What is that? Forest. So now maybe half an hour more it will take for our session to complete. Now let me go to the forest. Now, forest means what? Just try to understand. So now uh, our domain is something like this, which we already discussed. So I'll not elaborate much. This is our first domain, parent. And we created because of the size manage easily, make management easy. We created child domain. Then like this, we can have multiple domain. I'm taking three. So this is our one tree with the contiguous name. Now in everywhere you will have what? DC, which ADC. This will be the setup everywhere in every domain. So for every domain, domain controller is must. And you can have in real time compulsory ADC. This is your DC, this is your ADC. So user can be created from one domain, they can log in from domain to other. So this is our what we have discussed. This is one tree. This is one tree. It's called tree. Now I can have another type of tree where we can have a domain without following the contiguous name. Without following contiguous name. Somebody requested to have short break, 2 minutes. Shall we have or can I continue? Maximum people. I have no problem with the break or with continuation. Depends on your choice. Please suggest me. Shall we continue or shall we have a break? You you need to take a break. Take a break of few minutes, means 1 or 2 minutes. Otherwise, again session will be get prolonged. Then we'll continue. Too late, no 1:11, because the session may from the WebEx may get closed because they will have 2.5 hours, 3 hours like that. So suppose if they close from their end, the recording will not be saved. That is my concern. So I think better you take just 1 hour minute break, get relaxed, then we'll continue, because 11 means again if they can disconnect from the WebEx side means recording will not be saved. Can I continue? Okay. So please, those who want to take a break, just have a break simultaneously. I'll be explaining same recording you can hear. So now we can also have a domain without contiguous name also. Suppose in our Zoom there is also a course with a what name? CCNA. So now so suppose they started some other trade like the cloud also. So they can have the other things also. Now they are a part of Zoom, but they might be in some other domain. Main domain is Zoom, but their business might be other activities, maybe the software side or some other things. So then that is called what? A new tree within the existing forest, which may not follow the contiguous name, but it is a part of a Zoom. Like example, now here I created one domain, example CCNA, but I'm not giving the Zoom, simply the name ccna.com. So it is a part of Zoom only. So here also they'll maintain what? DC, switch, the client, and the ADC. But here, whether they are following the contiguous name like zoom.com, no. So it might be another domain here, might be ccnp.ccna.com. Here also same setup, DC with switch, with users and ADC. Now they may also have the domain like ccie dot ccnp dot ccna.com. Here also DC, switch, and ADC. So now this is called, it is also a tree, but it is not following the Zoom name, but it is a part of Zoom. So this is called a tree. It is also a tree without contiguous name. So tree can be of two types, with with the contiguous name and without contiguous name. So this is a tree with contiguous name. So how many types of trees we can have? With contiguous name and without contiguous name. So without contiguous name, it is called what? New tree in existing forest. So this together, collection of tree. We have like this number of trees. So now imagine somebody says forest. Forest means what? Collection of trees. That is the definition for collection of trees. Is called as what? Forest. That trees might be with contiguous name or without contiguous name. So what is the last thing for us? Forest. Forest means what? Collection of trees. Collection of trees. The trees might be with contiguous name or without contiguous name. Did you understood now? Now one user can log in from here. Like suppose U1 user here M1, T1, here say suppose N1, here might be P1, here it might be E1. So now can the U1 log in from here? Yes, they're part of the same forest. So any user can log in from anywhere, but if a user is logging from other domain, it was created in one domain, but it is login from other domain, you have to write at the rate where it is created. Then they can log in. So whether user is created within the same tree with the contiguous name or another tree without contiguous name, but they belong to same forest, then they can log in without any modification or without any things we need to configure. They can log in by default because they belong to same forest. So forest means what? Collection of tree. So what will be the forest name here? The first domain which you create, that will be the forest name. So I created first domain with what name? Zoom.com. That will be the forest name for all these trees. So like this I can have n number of trees with contiguous name, without contiguous. Now I'll repeat what is the definition for domain. So domain means what? Domain means what? It's a logical administrative boundary which contain all our devices like DC, ADC child in with a common name, with common policy. That is your domain. Collection of domain is called as what? Tree. So that tree can be of two types, with contiguous name and without contiguous name. And collection of trees is what? Forest. Now did you understood? Domain means what? It is administrative boundary contain collection of what? Devices which works under common name, common policies. Then collection of domain called is what? Trees. Collection of tree is called as what? Forest. Forest name will be what? The first domain which you have created. That will be the forest name. It is called root of domain. Forest is also called as root of domain or parent domain. So shall I understood that? You understood? Or any clarification you need? Please tell me. In simple words, you remember domain means what? A collection of devices which works under a logical administrative boundary with common name and common policies. Collection of domain is called trees. Collection of domain is called tree. Collection of domain is called tree. Collection of trees is called forest. Is it okay? Okay for everybody? Now, did you understood? The structure of active directory consists of how many things? Two things, physical, logical. In physical, what will come? Domain controller and sites. In logical, it consists of what? Domain, tree, forest. Domain means a collection of devices which works under a common name, common policies like DC, ADC and all my clients. So collection of like that domain constitutes what? Tree. Collection of tree called as forest. I hope it is clear to everyone now. Is it okay now? See, there is no need to make any connection between the different domain in a forest. They automatically will be connected because they belong to same family. So like you trust your cousin at least somewhat compared to the unknown person. Can you go to your relative house? Yes, if they belong to same family. But can you go to anybody house? That because of the relationship. So same way, if a domain exists within the same forest means their relationship is there. So they don't require any specific thing to be done for communication. So by default, they can log in or they communicate with each other domain. And any user can log in from any domain within the same forest. Is it okay now? So we'll do the practical now. By that you will get, I'm sure you will get a lot of clarity. Still, if you have any doubt, you can get the clarity with it. But for that, you should get the concept theoretically. So ccna.zoom.com you can have, but that is what again become what, a tree with contiguous name. So I said tree can be of two types: with contiguous name, without contiguous name. When somebody says forest, what thing comes to your mind? Generally, forest will have one tree or multiple tree. Multiple tree, yes. So only one type of tree will be there in the forest, or different type of tree will be there. Yes, multiple. That's what. A tree of with contiguous name can be not only one. It can be with contiguous. Lot of tree can be there, and lot of tree without contiguous. But how many types of trees we will have? Two types: contiguous, non-contiguous. But both are belonging to same domain, so they are belong to one forest. So I hope now it is clear. Yes, they are two different trees, but they belong to now. This here. Once again, I'll see mcsc.zoom.com, ccna.zoom.com. Now, here, what is there here? You are not following the pattern. So, this is one parent, it might be another parent. So, for the concept is what? How many parent you can have? Only one. So, you have to follow that. A parent should be there with contiguous name or without contiguous. At the same time, you cannot have two parent. It is something like two parent, mcsc.zoom.com, ccna.zoom.com. So it is something like two parent. So we cannot have two parent. I hope you got my point. With what is the difference with contiguous name means? Like here, their domain name should be there. So here I have zoom.com, mcsc.zoom.com, mcitp.mc. So there is a link here in the name. Here there is the name Zoom is not repeating, which is the part. But again, after CCNA, it is a part of whose parent? This is here. So now here maps.google.com, mail.google.com. Now here, what happens? These are entirely two different domains which are being maintained by in two different geographical location. So these are two different domain, means two different parent. So they may have some child domain, but these are not the one parent, one child. So for child, what should come after the name? The parent name. Yes. So now these are two different domain, but not in the form of what, either three or with the parent-child relationship. One parent can have a number of child. No limit to have two children. For simplicity, I have written two child. Like this, you can have a number. But like somebody asked, the limit is there, 128 bit, because you cannot remember more. You can have fourth child also, third child also, but it should be within the limit of that name. Complete name should be about 128 bit, not exceed more than 128, because others cannot remember it. So it is not like that parent can have only two child, it can have a number of child, but within the limit of 128 bit, a number of child. Yes, one parent can have a number of child. Here, child means what? This might be what? Two different trees, not two child enter. You make maps.google.com. It might be one tree. Map.google.com. It might be another here domain. So it might be something like not parent and child, because child means the parent name should come. So it might, you can say these are two different domains belonging to two different trees, but not parent and child. Because if it is child means in the child parent name should come. So if the first name was maps.google.com, then the other name will be what? Mail.maps.zoom. Sorry, google.com. Then it will become that parent and child. Are you clear now? So it might be two different trees, not parent and child. Yes. So a tree can be there with contiguous name, without contiguous. So how they will join it means we will see how to create the tree. So then you will, because the linkage will be there with the parent. So once I do this your doubt will be clarified. How the CCNA can be joined into the zoom.com. That is what I said, a tree without contiguous name. That is I call new tree in a existing forest. How to join, we'll see practically. Is it okay now? Okay. I'll go for the practical. That's why I said it will become more clear if you go to the practical. So first I need to show today how many practical? 3 practicals. So first I'll show you how to make ADC. Then next new tree. Then another tree without existing name. With contiguous name, without contiguous. Both I'll show you. Sorry. So how many practical we have to do? 4 practical. They are very easy. 2 to 3 minutes practical, but you need to understand the concept. If you are clear with the theoretical part, you will understand very easily the practical. Yes. So can I proceed with the practical? Already you have the soft copy. I can do just within 2 to 3 minutes, but the practical is provided you understood the theoretical concept. So can I proceed with practical? So what will be our first practical? How to make our domain with ADC. DC is already there. So if the DC is done, ADC can provide the what? Without any disturbance, the network can run. Continuation of the network can be maintained with the help of ADC. Yes. So shall I go for the first creation of ADC? Okay, fine. Now we'll start with the practical. So how many machines you required for today's practical? Minimum 2. If you have very good configuration, you can do all the 4 things in 4 machines. But I'll be doing in 2 machines. So now you can see here. Tree. Tree is what? Collection of domain with contiguous. So I already shown you. First domain is called the root domain, parent. This is about the tree. So we can have 2 types of tree, with contiguous name, without contiguous. So this is with the contiguous. Like example. Here the domain is what? ms.com. Now forest. It will have multiple trees with contiguous name or without contiguous name. Like I told you the example. So this is one. Another domain, soft.com. There is no parent name to it, but it is a part of the forest. How to create that? I'll show you practical, but within the same forest. Okay. So first our practical is about how to create the and ADC. So already we created the DC. So first practical will be about ADC. So First, our practical is what? ADC. So we required how many machines? 2 machines. So this is already my DC is configured. So this is I'm calling as system 1. System 2. This I'm calling as what? DC. And this I want to make as a what? ADC. How do you configure the DC? First, we install the application. Then we promoted that using the which option? Anybody understood? Promote to DC. By which option? 3 options were there. 1, 2, 3. Which option you have selected? Anybody? Can you please tell me so that I can understand to remember or not? Yes, very nice. So it means you are following. So at that time to create the DC, we selected the third option. So once the DC is created, how do you check it? We went to the command prompt, type it what? Net accounts. So it was showing us what? Computer role name is what? Primary. This is about the DC. So what was the IP for that? 10.0.0.1. Then preferred DNS should be what? Same. 10.0.0.1. But today we need to make ADC. So to how to make ADC, let us see here. So how to create the ADC means, first thing, what you have to do, install a service called ADDS, same like DNS. Then we need to promote it. For promoting, which option we have? 3 options we have. So now today, which option we have to select to promote this ADC? The first option. Here the third option. Here the first. Then it will be changed to ADC. So for DC, what was the name you have given? Zoom.com. For ADC, what should be the name? Same name should be given. Zoom.com. So once it is done, ADC, once you go to the command prompt and type it to the net accounts from the command prompt, it will show you what? Backup. What it will show? Backup. This is the difference. Important thing is what? IP. For this, what will be the IP? 10.0.2. Preferred DNS should be what? How it will be joined from one to the other? With the help of what? Preferred DNS. The preferred DNS IP should be what? DC machine IP. But here, alternate DNS IP should be what? Machine IP. Sorry, ADC. This is the setup we should have. So are you following now? Now can I proceed with the practical now? No, I need 2 machines here. Already I have 2 machines here. So before that, just 1 minute, we'll go with the practical steps so that it will become clear to you. What is our today's practical? Today's practical is what? ADC. You can see here. First, what should I do? Configure the DC. Already it is there. Now, the other machine should be what? Not member server. It should be work group. So now in the second machine, the preferred DNS IP should be the DNS IP. That is true. And the alternate DNS IP should be what? Sorry, this is the setup I made here. Sorry, here. How the setting should be here? Preferred DNS, because we are installing the DNS again with the first option, this. So DNS will get installed. So DNS is also getting installed on same machine. So this should be what? Like this. The IP should be this. This is not should be the DC IP. This should be the DC IP. If alternate DNS should be the DC IP. This is the setup. So I repeat once again. This should be the setup. Preferred DNS should be what? Preferred DNS IP address should be the ADC machine IP address. Same. But alternate DNS IP should be the IP address of the DC. Then they get connected. Are you clear with this now? Can I proceed with the practical? Okay, fine. Now I have two machines here. This is my first machine. I need to log in with administrator. How do you check whether it is a DC or not? Go to the command prompt. Command prompt. Type it what? Net space accounts. It will be showing what? Sorry. Accounts. So it will show me what? Computer role name is what? Primary. So it is a DC. First machine is clear. So I want to make this machine as what? ADC. So the first condition is what? This machine should be in work group. I'm changing this machine into work group. So login, who can do it? Only admin can do it. The administrator has logged in. So this is machine is a member server. So first we need to convert it into work group. That is the condition. So how do you convert it? You can check here. The machine status in what? Don't worry about the practical. It is just few minutes. Now change setting. It is in the work group model. So we have to change it to, sorry, it is in the domain model. Sorry, it is in the domain model. We need to change it to work group. How do you change it? Go to the change setting, click on change. Background DNS name will be there. So you have to remove that compulsory. Otherwise, it will not join into the domain. Okay. Click on more. Remove the from the background DNS name. Now here you select here work group. That's it. If you want to remove this, you can remove. If you keep also, no problem. Why we are doing? When you want to make ADC, first condition is this machine should be in the work group. So I'm changing it. It will change it back to work group. Here it will appear work group. It came back to the work group. Now it will ask for restart. To change it here. Now important thing is what? IP address. Then again you log in. Now you check the machine has been changed from the domain model to workgroup. The first condition is fulfilled. Yes. Second condition, the IP. Go to the network, properties, to the change adapter setting, select your LAN card, to the properties. Now here, please remember, the IP address of this machine and the preferred DNS should be same because here also DNS will get installed. But how the connectivity will be there between the DC and ADC with the help of alternate DNS IP. So in DNS IP, whose IP you have to give? The DC machine IP address. Is it okay now, everyone? Okay, fine. I'll just enable it as a refresh enable. Now our machine is ready to be made as what? ADC. So now I'll make it this machine as a ADC. Simple procedure. Open the server manager console. Then you can find at the left side there is no ADDS services installed. Now I'll install it. How to do? Already we have done. Click on what? Add roles and features. Go to the next 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Check which one? The second service. Active Directory domains. Add the features. Next 5 times. 1, 2, 3. 3 times. Install. So now ADDS service will get installed. But this machine will not become ADC. So you see here, left side. We have not installed DNS. DNS will get installed. Integrated will be promote. You see the flag notification, which is color. Flag by default will be what? White. White means everything is fine. But once the services get installed, the color of the flag changes. Now you see here. Pay attention to the color of the flag. Yeah, it changes to what? Hello. It means what? Something is pending. The service got installed. Now you see here, ADDS got installed, but DNS is not is still pending. So that we will complete by going to where? Click on the flag. Now promote this server to the domain controller. Same like DC, but here your complete MCSE is dependent here. So for the DC we selected this option, but today we want to make ADC. So for ADC, which option you have to select? First option. If you understand this, over. Practical. Then here domain name. So what is the DC and ADC name should be same. Backup server name should be same. Domain name for your DC is what? Zoom.com. So for this also same. Now here it is not highlighting next. So you have to click here what? Change. Which option I am selecting? You remember here. First option for ADC. Third option for DC. This is for all other child domain. Second option. Click on change setting. Now you have to verify with the domain administrator. Administrator, not local administrator, domain, @domain name. Okay, domain administrator password. Once it is verified, then only the next option will be highlighted. It is verified. Now you can see next. All this thing is given in the notes. Now click on next. Be contacted. Okay. There is no communication. Maybe trademark you got it. Let me check connectivity is there or not. This is my child domain. Let me check from here the connectivity. First ping to DC. This is from second machine I'm doing. CIP is what? Communicate. What the problem? This machine IP. Fine. Disable. Enable. I got the domain name. Let me go to my second machine. Try to ping. Was disabled. I did not enable. Now it is got enabled. Let me check whether it is communicating or not. Ping with what? From 10.2 to 10.1. It's communicating. Now it may be joined now. I'm going back to the machine to which I want to make ADC. So again, go to the flag. Click on the flag. Promote this server to the domain controller. Select which option? First or third option? First option, yes. Then go with what? Name. Which name? Your existing domain name for the of DC. Then change setting. Give the administrator name. @ domain name. What is our domain name? Soon.com. Now password. Once it is verified, you got a next option now. Click on next. It is verified. Did you verify it? Yes. Now here it is asking the password. So what is this password we have to give now? This is the password for ADC. To avoid confusion, same password I am using. Here you got highlighted. Next. Now the NetBIOS means what? A name without any extension. So a name like only Zoom. So now replication should take place from DC. This is my DC name. Now I'm saying replicate from my DC next. Now the database file is created. Whatever is there in the DC, same thing. Now replication is taking place. Everything is fine. Now once I click install, what will happen now? Now this machine will change into what? DC, sorry, from the work group to ADC. How do you check? Go to the NetBIOS. Sorry, go to the command prompt, type it NetBIOS. Sorry, not NetBIOS, net accounts. It will show you what? Backup. So the name for DC is what? Primary, computer role name. Whereas for the ADC, when the machine is changed from the work group to the ADC, its role name in the computer will be shown as what? Backup. When you go to the command prompt and type it net accounts. So I'm not clicking on install because it will, I need to show two more practical. So again, this I'll be doing tomorrow, ADC. So I'm just leaving it. All the options are same. Just click on install. Now I'm canceling it because I need to show you what tree. Suppose if you are doing the practical and you click on the next and you install it, you can remove it. How to remove? You go to the tools, sorry, not tools, manage. And here you can give the option. Or I already give you the practical steps how to remove the DC and ADC. So if you go to here, I given you with command also you can do. You can remove the ADC into again. Yeah, the command is given. We configure the DC. How to change it from the DC to normal machines? I have given you the command. Commands you can use it. Either graphical you can do or you can. So to how remove the ADC, sorry ADDS, this first you have to demote it by using this PowerShell command. Then you remove what? ADDS by this. Is it okay now? Now can I go for the yes, it will show backup. So can I go for the tree? Just 2 minutes practical. Yes, anybody is there or all of you went away? People are there. Can I continue now? For the tree, please reply. No one is replying. I'll go with the tree now. Or shall I stop the session? You are saying somebody is replying, yes. So I'll go with that tree. Only just 2 minutes practice. Now I need to make this as a tree with contiguous link. So again, ADDS is already installed. Go to this promote server. Already created ADC. Now my requirement is tree. Tree means what? Child domain. How to create the child domain? Same. Click on the flag. Go to the second option. Yes. If you understand this, over practical. I'll go to the second option. Now here, child domain. It is asking parent domain name. So somebody asks, no, how the parent will understand child, child understand parent, like ccna.com, Zoom, like this. Yes, you have to give the domain name. Now here, new domain. What is the new domain you want to create? Suppose mcsc.zoom.com. Now here, you have to just give what? MCSC. So it will be what? mcsc.zoom.com. Now click on what? Authentication. Domain administrator. Administrator @ zoom.com. Parent domain. Verification is done. We'll go to the next option. Here is verifying. Now here you have to select like we have done on the DC. Try to get the list number so that in the future again you can configure for child domain also. One ADC you will configure. So list value select. Now here file this. Now this will be what? So I'm keeping common password so that it is easier to remember. Go to the next. Click on next. Next. It will be part of what? Domain name mcsc.zoom.com. Next. created default database file? Yes. Then click on install. Now this again will become what? A DC. Which DC? Child DC. So when you go to the command prompt, type it net accounts, it will show what? Primary. It will show become what? Primary. Then how do you understand the primary and the child primary? So for that, ADUC console. In ADUC console, you will have two users, schema admin, and one more name. One second. I'll go to the DC. Enterprise admin. Yes, enterprise admin and schema admin. User will be there in ADUC console only for primary, and this won't be there for child domain. Yeah, I'll show to the view. I'll go to the DC now. My DC machine. So in the DC machine, when you go to the ADUC console, there are two users, which will be there only in the main DC, that is in the parental DC. What name? Schema admin. You can find here. I go to the users. Here you will find schema admin. Can you see here? Schema admin and enterprise admin. These two admins will not be there in child domain. Only it will be there in the parental domain. This is how to identify. We are done with what? I'm not clicking on install. So now a child domain has been created. Now the last practical for today is what? New domain in a existing forest. Means we are going to create a new tree without contiguous name. Last practical. So same thing. Go to the flag, promote this server to domain controller. Again, you click here where. But now you have to select here what? Instead of child, you select here what? Tree. So here it is your new domain name. Like might be ccna.com. Any name you can use. Like I'm giving here ccna.com. So now, sorry, here it is asking forest name. So what is my forest name? First domain which I created. So this is how the linkage. New domain name is what? ccna.com. Next. Change. Authentication. It has been done. Same. Next. Here again, I need to go with what? List number. So that again, this backup also will be maintained. Here the option is list that only. The password for new tree. Same thing. Next. Install. This also will be primary. So same, this is a what? ccna.com. How do you verify? It will be again when you go to the command prompt, type it net accounts, it will show primary. But you go to the ADC console, you will not find any schema admin and domain admin. And when you go to the computer name also, it will be ccna.com, not zoom.com. I hope it is clear to everybody. That's it. So this is about today's session. So today we discuss important how to create DC and ADC, Then we discuss how to create a child domain with contiguous name. Then how to create a tree without contiguous name. So this complete together comes under a part of what? Forest. So this is related with today's session. So those who are still staying, thank you everybody. Before we wind up the session, one important thing. So tomorrow we'll be discussing what the differences between DC and ADC. That will be our third class for tomorrow. Is there any difference between DC and ADC? Is there or not? That we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. So you want to see the forest right once more? Okay, no problem. Just a second. Extremely thank you for everyone who patiently waited for this session. For others, they will get the what? Give me a minute. Get the video recording. They can see that. This was our Active Directory second class. So you can see this. This is the ADC. This is about the tree. That was the last forest. Forest can have multiple trees with contiguous name or without contiguous. So for the child domain and the parent domain, when you go to the command prompt, type it net accounts, it will show what primary. But how do you distinguish child domain with the parental domain? These are the two admins, which will be there only in the parental domain or forest domain. Enterprise admin and schema admin. Apart from that, no other things here. End of this slide. One second, what somebody is saying, I'll just try to check it out. And we get the mail of the slides for reference. Sorry, it is not my hand, but I already told you, you just download our app Zoom Technologies. In that you can find it. So is there anything to ask me or you want to ask me? You can ask. Otherwise, we'll close the session. So any doubt regarding today's session? Anybody? Yes, that we'll see tomorrow. If you make any changes from the DC, it will be there in ADC. If you do any changes in ADC, it will be there in DC. That we'll see tomorrow. Apart from that, any other doubt? Anybody? No doubt? If you have no doubt, can we wind up the session for today? Okay, you want to see that? Okay. Yes, on the website also same slide is there. So this is regarding the tree. Take a snapshot. Done. The diagram. Yes, it's available on our site. Website you mean to say? No, only on the app, not on the website. Sorry, not on the website. On the app, it is available. This is about the forest. the last diagram. Done. So that's it for today. So can I wind up the session now? Thank you everybody for your patience, for your cooperation. Thank you everyone. So I'm closing the session now. Wind up with the session. Tomorrow we'll continue with what? What is the difference between DC and ADC? That's it for tomorrow. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm closing the session. Thank you everyone.